All right. So, do you have a plan? I have a great
Yes.
Green Book game for you today.
Oh, I've got lots of. For not having seen Green Book, I've got a lot on Green Book.
Right. Well, I've got Bohemian Rhapsody and Vice because I watched both of those movies.
You say that like you are the only one that has watched both of those movies.
Oh, did you get to Bohemian Rhapsody eventually?
I got to both of them. Thank you very much.
This is all droopy again.
And welcome to another episode of Even More Mashed Up,
Woohoo!
a pop culture podcast featuring two professors from Misericordia University talking about all things pop culture. I am Patrick.
And I'm Allan. And today, Oscar Recap Day.
Yoo-hoo!
That was, see how I did it directly because I had nothing clever to say.
Yeah, well, the cleverness I'm sure will evolve over the
It's
course
hard
of
to
the
pun
episode.
on Oscar.
It is. Perhaps we could have done a Green Book joke.
Are you feeling grouchy?
Oh, that would have worked, yes.
Could you go Oscar the Grouch?
I'm letting a frown be my umbrella.
That's a classic.
Yeah, I think that was the title of the Sesame Street Oscar album that I own.
You owned an Oscar album.
We
Well,
had
that
all,
makes sense.
As kids, we had like almost all of the Sesame Street albums.
Number one trash can guy of all time, right?
What?
Nobody's sold more records singing from a trash can. Because you're big on number of records sold
I don't know. I'm
equating to
pretty
greatness.
sure. Hasn't King's X sings from trash cans?
Sings from a?
Sings from trash
Well, once again, you
Talking about the Oscars.
Successfully put me down.
Woohoo! Put
Hey,
you
oh,
in your place.
What are you going to do?
Rich is here, too.
And Rich is here too. Speaking of talking out of a trash can.
He can't keep my microphone erect, but you know what I
Is that the word you wanted to use?
Should we talk about the Oscars?
I
Because I bet
think we
somebody's got numbers.
should. No, I do not. Wow. I have no numbers for our discussion of the Oscars. I've just got substantive commentary.
Well, that section is done with. Next.
Yeah.
So
we don't usually have a substantive category.
What, the Oscars or us?
Us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe.
Well, considering that the Oscars in their choice for Best Picture perhaps lacked substance, we are perhaps making up for it.
Oh, there was substance.
Not
So the
good
Oscars were, I guess, a couple days ago.
Sunday night.
So we've got our finger on the pulse
Yes.
of all things Green Book.
That's right. And after all of the various controversies that resulted from them trying to keep the show shorter,
Yeah.
you know, they guaranteed that it was going to be no more than 3 hours.
Did they?
Because there was no host.
Right.
There was going to be, only some of the songs were going to be sung,
Gonna
and
dump
then
stuff to
all of the
commercials.
songs, and then stuff was going to be done during commercials, and then not done during
You
commercials.
seem to be suggesting they didn't do a good job of organizing and presenting this
It was a
year.
bit of a hot mess. And in the end,
Yes.
the episode or the ceremony lasted 3 hours and 18 minutes.
That's a number you said you had none.
Which, when you consider, I forgot I had that, when you consider that they didn't do one of the best song nominees, because they didn't do the one from Black Panther, it would have been 3.5 hours. So after all of that, it was its normal length.
I think the Oscars are a force unto themselves that you can't contain it. It's got to be 3.5 hours.
It's going to, yeah, I mean, they tried their best and their worst this year.
Yeah.
To get it under 3 hours or no more than 3 hours, and
Now, so you can't hear me again,
they
Rich,
still
right?
failed.
Because the microphone is literally in my crotch.
I wouldn't say literally.
Yeah, yeah. So, how you feeling about
Sorry,
that?
this is feeling.
I'm taking the weight back, so it's not going to.
Okay. Could have done this, I don't know, 10, 15, 30 minutes ago. But this is good podcast.
Is that like bringing sexy back, bringing the weight back? Did a Justin Timberlake reference there? Because I got my finger on the pulse of the Ute,
Nothing says contemporary like
40-year-old
Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake or however old he is.
at least
So,
40.
but yeah, so they did not pull off.
And then to cap what has been a disastrous sort of planning and execution of the Oscars, they
Yes.
actually gave the Best Picture Oscar to
Green Book.
Yeah.
Which in many ways was the one film they probably should have avoided giving
it's
the
so
Oscar to.
but it's so Hollywood that they did.
It
It's like
is.
they can't stop themselves.
No, well, and this was one of my fears, is that,
Yes.
like looking at Green Book, I'm like, oh, the white savior movie about race? Because that is almost definitely going to be what they're going to pick.
Disclaimer, I didn't actually see the movie.
I've not seen it either.
Because people wrote such...
Scathing. Well, the
Yeah.
family of the guy it's about, the character that Mahershala Ali played, they have completely disavowed the film
Very unhappy with it.
and said that it is complete lies.
Yes, I think we have a call now.
Do we?
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I was saying.
We have the technology to take calls.
That would require people to know that we are taping the show right now and to know a phone number, which I don't even know a phone number for the show.
Oh, there's a mashup number, 1-800-MASHUP.
Is that what it is?
Sure.
Please, please do not call that number.
MASHUP, because we're short a few digits there. Or was it mashed up?
Maybe mashed up.
Okay. Can we get that number?
Could we? Could you get to work on that, please?
We should totally get that number.
Oh, we need a 1-800.
We totally
oh,
do.
We do. Yep.
We do. It's the only way we're going to make money.
Not the kind of 1-800 number that Robert Kraft calls.
Oh.
Not that number.
Well, he'd probably be in less trouble if he just called as opposed to just showing up at the massage parlor.
I guess.
It seems like that was his problem.
You're a 77-year-old, gazillion billionaire.
Yeah.
What do you need?
I'm going to go to the strip mall, massage parlor, for some massage. Because I'm feeling tense.
All right, we were talking about Green Book, though.
We were, yes.
And I have a game I want you to play for Green Book.
Okay.
I'm calling it the tweet meme game.
Okay.
So here's the tweet that began the chain.
Okay.
I want you to anticipate as many responses as you can.
Okay.
I think you're going to be good at it if you get the feel for what it is.
Okay.
So the original tweet came from Alex Seatswald, who tweeted, "Some of Green Book's best friends are black movies."
Oh, God.
So what are the responses to some of Green Book's best friends are black movies?
So is it actually listing black movies, or is it
No,
more...
it's like phrases in that vein.
Okay.
Like you would say, some of my best friends
are
black people
Oh,
when
boy.
you've done something that's
When you've done
borderline
something-
racist.
yeah, borderline racist,
Right.
yes.
So what other kinds of excuses might Green Book come up with?
Oh.
Some of Green Book's best friends. Yeah.
Green Book doesn't see color. I feel like that's got to be in there
Okay.
somewhere. Or doesn't
wait,
see
wait.
race or something to that effect.
I'll give you
Despite
this one.
the fact that it's called Green Book, it doesn't see color.
I'll have you know, Green Book does not see color films.
Boom.
So you got
Boom.
it. By the way, the response to "I'll have you know that Green Book does not see color films" was films of color. Thank
Oh,
you.
nice.
Yeah,
Well done.
All right. So that is that's
yes.
one of a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, jeez. Wow, this
So-
feels like the Family Feud.
It is. I feel like a game show host.
Do I get strikes or?
I'll give you strikes.
Okay. So
You may come up with some that aren't in there too that would be worthy of the list.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got
These are just the top 7 answers
on the board. 100 people's or 100 tweets surveyed.
I looked at 7 tweets actually.
Okay.
But close enough.
Oh
Total of
boy.
7
Okay. So
tweets
they don't
surveyed.
see color.
Yep.
Boy. I'm trying to think of some other ones here. Because what was the first one was
Some of Green Book's best friends.
Okay, that was best friends. Okay.
Are black movies. I'll feed you a hint if you want.
Green Book grew up in the ghetto? Or in the projects?
No. Yeah, there's one. It's somewhat close to, but I don't think I can give you credit for it. 'Cause there's a step too far. Think Donald Trump for a minute.
Oh, good Lord. That's not... do we need to build a wall around Green Book?
No, but not bad.
No. Oh, are there good people on both sides of Green Book?
Green Book says there are good people on both
There we
sides,
go.
which
Yeah,
is perfect for Green Book. If
That
you
is
think
really
about
good.
it, right?
That is perfect. Well,
Green Book says there are good people on both
there's
sides.
good people, but particularly the white people.
Yes. Well, again, the subtext of Trump.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Okay. I'm doing better at this than I thought I would.
Well, you got one, and I gave you the other
Well, no, I got the.
with a lot of hinting.
That's fine.
Okay.
I still got it.
All right.
Counts as.
So you've got one strike.
Oh yeah. Okay. You want to give me a hint on another one?
Immediately asking for a hint.
It references a big-time social movement.
Oh, hashtag Green Book 2? No, Green Book Lives Matter, or Green Books Matter.
No, white movies.
All right. Green Book 2 is a strike. 'Cause that's way off.
You said a movement. That's a very contemporary movement.
Green Book. Wait.
Green Book Matters. Green
Yeah,
Books
Green
Matter.
Green Book wants folks to know
Ah.
that all movies matter.
Oh, all movies matter.
Right?
Nice.
So you're getting there, but you don't quite have the.
I was close.
You're getting there.
I was in
All
the
right.
general ballpark.
You got anything else?
No, give me another hint.
Pinterest. Can you write one for Pinterest?
I'm not.
Is that how you say Pinterest?
Yeah, that is how you say it. I don't know
Pinterest.
Pinterest very well, so that's not going to be.
All right, that's strike 3.
I'm not going to do well.
I
at
feel like
that.
we're going to run out of time.
Okay.
Green Book just pinned a really powerful Martin Luther King quote on Pinterest.
Okay, that's a little.
That's not the best one.
That was that one's.
Here's the one you got close to. Green Book experienced reverse discrimination during its 2 years teaching in inner city schools.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so
you were
I
close.
was in the general ballpark with inner city, the projects.
Green Book is going to stop trying if people keep being so unappreciative.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. Is Green Book sending some of its best people?
And the final one, maybe less memey, was Green Book winning instead of Black Panther or Black Klansman perfectly summarizes Black
I
History
saw
Month
that
this
tweet.
year.
Yeah, I saw that tweet. I really liked that. I was like, that is.
Like,
The other thing that's really interesting is that an article I read this morning.
yeah.
Because a lot of people have made the comparison of Green Book to Driving Miss Daisy.
Yes, that's been a very common
Yeah, so the year
Comparison.
Driving Miss Daisy won Best Picture,
Spike Lee.
beat out Do the Right Thing.
Yep.
So it's almost like the exact same thing happened again.
It's almost like Spike Lee might have real reasons.
Yeah. I did like the interview that Spike, he on the red carpet, a couple of guys did we're doing an interview with Spike Lee, and they asked him about, like, what's your opinion of Green Book?
Yeah.
Spike Lee's like, you're British, right? Other guy, you're British, right? I'll give you a British answer. Not my cup of tea. And then just walks away cackling.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no, Green
So
Book.
it's gotten some fairly scathing reviews.
Yeah, well, in particular, the tweet about how, what I find interesting is and again, I read this in an article today, is you look at
Did you get up this morning and just like read up on it now?
no, I did some stuff last night, but
Okay,
then I thought, let me
yeah.
look for some stuff on there, because I
Wanna
have,
make sure.
at least one of my friends has posted a lot of stuff on Green Book on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
But if you think about, Black Klansman, which is a pretty scathing sort of treatment of race.
Right.
Black Panther, which is almost the other way around, a sort of celebration of
Right.
African culture and sort of an Afrofuturist vision.
Right.
And then they go with Green Book, which is the most kind of milquetoast, really sort of pleasing to white audiences.
Not unlike Crash.
Which
Which again is
the
is
only
a
people
frequent
happy.
reference to.
The only people happy about Green Book winning,
Yeah.
is Crash, because every article I've read kind of points out that this is the worst pick since Crash.
Right. So
And
it's,
so-
it's kind of taking the heat off of Crash.
Yeah, so Crash is now, like, people are like, Crash maybe isn't as bad because, that was 20 years ago and we can deal with that.
Finally, something worse than us.
This is Driving Miss Daisy for an audience that knows much, much better.
Although worse in the same way, right? It's
Oh, yeah.
just this like white liberal guilt.
Yeah.
Like wiping away. Ugh.
Yeah,
not
it's yeah. I mean,
It's
it was
not
there
good.
was always my fear that,
Hollywood would be Hollywood.
that Hollywood would be, yeah, exactly. Well, even watching something like Vice, which I saw this weekend.
Yeah.
Which Vice, is a very sort of scathing indictment of the last 30 plus years, if you go back to,
Yeah.
or even further, if you go back to the Nixon era.
Sort of the rise of Cheney. Yeah.
And I kind of got to thinking about, they're not going to pick a movie like Vice or Black Klansman that doesn't have kind of that feel-good, everything will be okay, we can all get along.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to think when Oscars have ever picked a movie of that nature for Best
It's
Picture.
not Hollywood enough.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's not.
Hollywood is that, feel-good ending.
Right.
So, yeah. So, Green Book, I mean, like,
wait,
of
there's
all-
there's a Robert Kraft joke in there somewhere.
probably. That's a different kind of ending.
Thank you.
Yeah, I helped you there. Like, of all the movies they could have picked for Best Picture,
Yeah.
there was some article that said there was one other movie that, like, Green Book was the second worst choice they could make, and I'm not sure what the first one was. Maybe Star is Born, but
Boy,
for
Star
my
is
money,
Born, way overrated film.
so for my money, Green Book was the last one. I would have been almost happier with any other film than Green Book, to
can't
be
even
quite
name
honest.
the list of all of them, and I'd be happy with any of the others.
The other films were Black Panther,
Yeah.
Black Klansman,
Yep.
Bohemian Rhapsody,
The Favorite.
The Favorite, Roma, A Star is Born, and Vice.
Well, Roma has a lot going against it. Is a Netflixy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's Hollywood just
Yeah.
literally shooting itself in the foot.
Yeah.
Hollywood never accept that.
Right. They can't. So Roma was kind of out.
But Roma did win a number of awards. Like,
Right.
it won
Right. But
3.
never Best Picture.
No, but it did get. Well, I read an article that said the moment it won Best Foreign Language Film, it was doomed because no foreign language film has won that and Best Picture.
Oh, that's looking at it backwards.
You win one or
there
the
was
other.
no way it was going to win Best Picture.
Probably not, no.
Well, let's face it. There's always an American film better than the best foreign film.
Well, let's face it.
any
Roma
given
was
year.
never going to win. It being
America.
nominated, and Black Panther was never going to win. Like they're getting nominated with sort of their reward.
In retrospect, they should have given it to Black Panther.
I was kind of excited at the beginning of the ceremony when, like, the first 2 awards Panther was up for, it won. And I'm like, ooh, we've got some momentum. And then sound editing went to Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm like, okay, that momentum's gone.
Yep.
We are done.
We'll talk a little bit more about Bohemian Rhapsody. But there was an article in The Atlantic on Green Book before we... I don't think we're done with Green Book yet.
I've got more on Green Book.
Which describes the relationship between Don and Tony. And I want to read this quote to you and see if it sounds familiar to you.
Okay, quick question.
Yes.
Who are Don and Tony?
Apparently, they're the 2 guys in the movie.
Okay, that's what I had a feeling.
One of them is the artist, and the other one's
I'm pretty
the chauffeur.
sure. I'm pretty sure Tony is the artist. Wait, maybe not.
Yeah, Tony is the artist.
Okay.
So Don, here's the quote, and I'll parenthetically the white guy. Mm-hmm. No, Don is the black guy.
Okay. I was just saying, yeah, for some reason.
Don is helping Tony understand that black people exist.
Oh, yes. Is this where he introduces him to fried chicken?
Beyond crude stereotypes, yeah. Well, Tony is also helping Don loosen up a little bit and not take life so seriously. Wait, it goes further. Oh. This is a quote from Farrelly, the director.
Yes. Oh, don't
Here's
get me
what
started
he said.
on Farrelly.
Quote, Doc Shirley didn't need a savior. Yes, Tony Lip got him out of some earthy problems, but Doc Shirley saved Tony Lip's soul. He changed him. He made him a better human being.
Wow, that sounds very
Familiar?
Hooksian.
Yeah, you want to explain, maybe?
Very well, it's her sort of idea of eating the other that we use in our class a lot. That, the idea of blacks or other ethnic individuals sort of serving as a kind of compensation for whiteness and sort of adding a sort of ethnic spice and sort of helping them sort of recover something that they've lost is a very sort of standard trope in a lot of and a lot of her examples are Hollywood films and advertising, but she uses several Hollywood films that fall prey to this, which again,
Green Book apparently fails to escape. Also, if you're interested in that theme in comics, next November there's a book, All New, All Different, that will be arriving from the University of Texas Press.
Now, I will defend Farrelly.
Will you?
In this one way.
Okay.
Can we really expect more from the guy who did Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah.
Like, that was sort of his work before.
Apparently we can, because that guy is now an Oscar winner.
Oh, God.
Yes. That man has an Oscar. And we sit here on this podcast with no awards.
Yeah. I'm not sure what hurts me more, that or the fact that Suicide Squad is an Oscar-winning film.
Oh, I would give Suicide Squad 4 Oscars before I'd give this movie one. I would not give Suicide Squad. Okay, which would I rather have for Best Picture?
Suicide Squad.
Wait, I does not have one.
Oh yeah, no.
Like if you had to pick, like
that's
if it was
a
up
punt.
to you, and you had to choose, upon pain of death.
No, then I die.
Wow,
I choose death.
I appreciate the moral stand that you're taking.
So
there.
this is another. Going back to
and he will die on it.
Yes.
Another tweet that's very similar to what you said. This is from Anna Lee or @LeeFlower on Twitter.
Leaflower.
A movie about racism told through a white lens just beat out 2 movies by black directors that unapologetically centered blackness. And this is what folks mean when they say that we need to center #own voices over folks writing outside their experience.
Yeah.
And kind of the same thing.
Yeah. I think, what do you say in response to that, except
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I was cautiously
the
optimistic.
movie's based on Tony the Lip's book, right? Like, it's based on his experiences.
It's based on... It's by the son, based on the experiences that the father told him. It's like the family has pointed out. Well, number one, they point out is like, because what's the other? It's Tony and Don. That Don apparently fired Tony and fired many chauffeurs.
Really?
Like he never was that close to any of the. Like it is a complete fabrication.
Yeah. Well, there's a surprise. You mean we didn't fix race back then?
No, shockingly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Somewhat stunning.
No. It must be nice to people to think, though, that we fixed race back then.
Well, there was a great New York Times article that talked about the way in which sort of what we're seeing on the screen is really grounded in the 80s, not only with Driving Miss Daisy, but Different Strokes in Webster and shows like this, in which like sort of white affluence and well-being allows to kind of like greases the wheels of racial integration.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, I mean that's that whole pattern of the white savior.
Right.
Which I mean I don't know, we're at the point where that trope should be thoroughly exhausted at this point. And yet,
Well, they're making a Blind Side 2 for next year.
Oh God.
No, I'm just kidding. But
Okay.
Oh,
Really, it should be just
But
called.
it could
could've believed
be,
you.
it would,
Would that
it would
be-
be the most Hollywood
Number
thing
one, they should
ever.
call it Blinder Side.
And then you got the blindest.
Yeah,
Side.
and they just kind of keep, sort of working that. But yeah, no, I was cautiously optimistic, because I watched like the first hour of the ceremony, and so I saw Regina King win for supporting actress. Black Panther won a couple. Particularly production design and what was the other one that it was production design and costume design. Sorry, I was getting those mixed up. Both, African American women winning for the first time in both of those categories.
Right.
And so I was and then I saw that Spider-Verse won, and I was sort of cautiously optimistic. I'm like, okay, they're moving in the right direction, and then they just fumbled it away with Green Book.
Turns out they were not moving in the right direction.
No, it's almost we had talked about this. Like my concern, like I always said, Black Panther's not going to win. Spider-Man first might win because then that gives them cover for not giving it to Black Panther.
Right.
I kind of wonder if they sort of thought, well, we voted for all of these other films in other categories, so it's okay to do Green Book for Best Picture.
I guess so, but you make it sound like they're all on the phone talking to each other about what they're
No, they're
voting
just
for.
all of a very similar mindset.
Right, and I think that is more the problem. It's not that it was strategically done.
No, oh God,
It's
no.
it's what they do.
Yeah.
The Hollywood elite that
Yeah.
we rail against on this show.
The Hollywood and a Hollywood elite that is clearly out of step with the viewing public.
Are they?
I think so.
I that's more optimistic than
I
I
guess.
would be.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to
I
be
guess.
optimistic.
That we still. I think that a lot of the public still wants to imagine a Green Book America,
Yeah.
as opposed to.
I like to think that there's more of a momentum behind a more realistic grappling with race.
I hope you're right. But I don't know.
Well, I am the optimist amongst us.
So you mentioned Vice. Could we talk about Vice for a minute?
Yes, I would love to talk about Vice.
Because it struck me that Vice.
I thought Vice after I saw Vice Saturday night, I was surprised it didn't do better
Yeah.
than it did.
Although I don't think it was as good as The Big Short.
I've not seen The Big Short, so
I
I
thought
can't
The Big
really.
Short was actually funnier, and maybe because The
Yeah.
Big Short focused on people that I didn't feel like I knew so well.
Well, and also people that you largely despise to a great extent.
Well, both movies would focus on people I despise.
Okay.
But The Big Short almost
Big
makes you kind of root for them until you realize
Yeah,
what,
but The Big
what
Short,
terrible
I mean,
things
you
they're
don't know
doing.
you know those people as kind of a group. You don't really know them as individuals in
That's
the
what,
way that you would
that's
know
what I
them in
mean. Like
Vice.
where I know
With Vice.
Cheney and
Yeah.
Rumsfeld and Bush.
Which I got to say, I mean, one of the things that really impressed me, I mean, Bale,
Yeah.
Carell,
Steve
like,
Carell
like
is,
they
is,
nailed those characters.
is Donnie Rumsfeld was
Yeah.
unbelievable.
They were-
like,
they
he
were
was
amazing.
just he embodied the guy.
Yeah, because who was I? I was talking to someone about Vice. I ran into Justin Nordstrom at the Wegmans and
Yeah.
on Sunday after I had seen Vice and I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I heard that it's that's got kind of a dark humor." And I'm like, "Well, if you think the running gag of Cheney's heart attacks, which I'm like, that pretty much is the running gag." He's like, "Oh, nope, got to go to the hospital again." I'm like,
Yeah.
kind of bleak.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But yes, no, I would not say Vice is better than The Big Short because I have not seen that. But there is a
seems
movie
fair.
that I would immediately say Vice is better than.
Dumb and Dumber.
No, well, yes. But that's not the movie I was thinking of.
Right.
As a work of...
So having not seen Green Book,
Correct.
you are comfortable asserting that Vice was clearly a better film.
I was not talking about Green Book either.
Oh, what are you talking about?
I was talking about Frost Nixon.
What? That's ridiculous. There's just as much made-up stuff.
Yes,
In
except
Vice.
that this movie, Vice, foregrounds the fact that it is made up. It's narrated by a dead person. My favorite part was when they had the scene between Lynn and Dick Cheney, where
Well,
basically
narrated by a dead person at the end.
he's narrating the whole thing.
But you don't know he's dead.
He's dead.
You don't know he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
You don't know that,
No,
though.
because he says at the
I
beginning,
mean,
you don't
we
know
read
it, but at the
history.
end you realize it because he says in the
Yes.
very first
Oh, I
thing that
know.
he's kind of related to Dick Cheney.
Yes, but that
So he
doesn't...
is,
you
in
know-
fact, dead the whole time.
I know he's dead the whole time, but you don't know that.
No, but when you
And
find
so
out...
it's a moment that comes at the end of the film that reveals and changes the meaning.
Yes.
Almost exactly like Frost Nixon, which you hated.
No. Well, because
I'm
Frost
just going to
Nixon...
point out the
No,
exact
no.
same motif.
No, because...
100%.
No, because what happens in Vice foregrounds the fact that they're making stuff up. Frost Nixon does not. The other moment that stands out to me in terms
You know
of
what I'd
Frost
like to
Nixon...
believe?
I'm talking.
I'd like to believe that
I'm
people...
talking here.
People aren't so naive
I am
to think
talking
that
here.
historical films are 100% accurate.
Do we
No,
need to
they-
match
I-
Keith
no.
up
That's
with
my
this?
optimism.
I just don't like Frost Nixon pretending to verisimilitude, and I like that Vice completely undercut any verisimilitude.
I will acknowledge that they treat it differently.
Because my favorite moment, and this was the moment that when Frost Nixon came to mind, was when you get the conversation between Lynn and Dick Cheney that basically is where he decides to go for the vice presidency.
Right.
And they're like, we could, we don't really know what happened here. We could just, it's not like we could insert a Shakespearean
Could do it like
monologue.
Shakespeare.
And they insert the Shakespeare monologue from Richard II, which I thought was brilliant.
It's a very McKay kind of way to make a film like this.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
he wants
even
to...
The Big Short was like that.
Right, I
There's
was gonna
points where
say.
they're like, this didn't really happen. What I did
Yeah.
this and this.
Right.
that's
They
why
take-
I liked
they
Vice.
take breaks to kind of explain the financials of it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, and then there's the very beginning where they're like, we made this movie, about someone who is the most secretive, we did our effing best. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
So that is why Vice is
I
better than Frost
acknowledge
Nixon.
there's a difference, but there's no phlebitis in Vice.
No, but there's heart
quite,
attacks.
Quite frank, yeah, but there's no
There's a
phlebitis.
lot of heart attacks.
There's
A lot of heart attacks.
that's true.
But yeah, Vice was, I was surprised by how much I liked Vice.
Do you know who else was really good in it? Amy Adams.
And you do not like Amy Adams, so that is high praise for
Now,
you.
I want to say that, you often make me out to be an Amy Adams hater.
Well, because you said, I think, on the show that you hate Amy Adams.
I'm pretty sure I've never said hate.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you have.
Yeah.
Rich, can you go back and find that on tape?
I could, but I'm not.
No, because it's on the radio show, which we do not have records of. So,
Yeah, we have almost all the radio show. We only lost the good ones, like the Avengers.
and the first episode.
Yeah. Only the stuff that was most important to keep
Only the archival
did
things.
Rich throw away.
Yeah.
No, the first one's not.
Oh, no,
me.
to be fair, the first one was
That's
not
true.
Rich's fault. He was not on the show at that point.
Fair point.
So
I still feel like it's his fault.
it's really
somehow.
not fair. That would be very
How dare I
Frost.
not be on the show
That
at
would
that
be
point?
very Frost Nixon-y of you to hold Richard responsible for something he was not even there for.
What if I
Boom!
what if I did my effing best?
Boom.
Boom, boom.
Listen, on this show,
Yeah.
do we ever do our
Fair
effing
point.
best?
I've been exposed. But I would just like to point out that you say I hate her, but I loved her in American Hustle. Mm-hmm. I think she was terrific in this movie as well. So
Batman,
I
Superman?
think you need to drop it.
No.
Okay, she's not the best Lois Lane, but let's be honest.
Now,
That Superman movie didn't make anybody particularly good.
Yeah.
not even Lex Luthor?
Especially. Here's my favorite part about Vice.
Yeah.
It struck me that Vice proves my thesis about The Dark Knight incontrovertibly true. And it's just the transitive property. The Dark Knight equals Christian Bale.
Yes.
Christian Bale equals Dick Cheney.
Mm-hmm.
The Dark Knight equals Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
That literally when I said the
It's
Dark
somewhere,
Knight
yeah.
is the Bush administration, it has now been
okay.
proven
I
incontrovertibly.
believe the actual quote was something to the effect of
The
every
crimes of
crime
the
that
Bush
Batman commits
administration.
are the
Yeah.
crimes of the Bush administration.
So, but still, the point is made,
Yeah, no,
right? That Batman is the Bush administration.
when I was first watching the film
Yeah.
and Christian Bale as Dick Cheney shows up, my first thought was like, wow, Bruce Wayne's really let himself go.
Exactly, which means America has really let itself go.
Yeah.
And really, both movies tell the same story, essentially,
Dark Knight
right?
and Vice.
Yeah. America, Batman, like, we're the good guys. We got to do some ugly stuff to kind of set the world right.
Oh, yeah.
This film does 100% confirm that my thesis in The Dark
Yeah,
Knight.
Dick Cheney is not the hero we deserve.
He's the hero that was foisted upon us.
I can't remember what the line is from Dark Knight. It's
You know what? I can never keep it straight because it's a
It's
stupid
a hero
line.
we need.
oh yeah, it's not the hero. I can't. He's the hero we need, not the hero we deserve.
Which is dumb.
Yeah.
Which is really stupid.
No, Vice actually does.
That's
I mean,
a
again, well,
meaningless
it's not
canard.
surprising that Dark Knight, being a film so kind of ensconced in, sort of Bush era politics,
Right.
has a lot in common with Vice and Dick Cheney, who, of course, as the movie shows, is like the architect of
Right.
everything.
Yeah, just made me feel better about...
My one word, and I was glad the movie didn't go this way, but my one concern for a good 3/4 of Vice
Right.
was, please do not redeem him via his daughter.
Yeah.
and her sexual. I was like, oh, so when they went the exact opposite route at the end, I was like, okay, good, because I was like, please don't try to humanize him with Mary. I was like, please don't do that.
Right.
The relationship with Mary, do not humanize Dick
I can
Cheney.
acknowledge that he was a human being.
Up to a point.
At some point, clearly he was a cyborg.
Well, he is a human being, I suppose, right?
Not maybe literally. I'm not sure metaphorically.
Okay.
He's like a human being
He's
in some
organic,
ways.
certainly.
But one of the things I liked about Vice, and of course, given my take on The Dark Knight, the politics was easier for me to take, I suppose, was that unlike Green Book...
Wait, the politics of Vice were easier to take than Green Book. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
It was interesting to watch somebody in Hollywood want to take on controversial issues, like to address something that really matters in a way that doesn't give you easy answers,
Yes.
or make you feel better at the end of the film. Because this film was like, sorry to bother you,
Oh, God, yeah.
which, by the way, was totally jobbed by the Oscars.
Well, I read it. I thought about that too, but I read an article from Boots Riley,
I
the
saw that.
director, and
I
he
think I
said
saw
that
the same thing.
they just did not promote it for the Oscars.
And you know what? I say, who cares? It's still a better movie
Yeah.
than Green Book, which I haven't
Oh,
seen.
it is. I mean, again, I would say. I mean, but if you have Sorry to Bother You in the Best Picture, it was not going to win.
Agreed, but it should.
Yeah.
But
It should have been. Well, number one, it should have been an original screenplay. Like, I don't know how that movie did not get nominated for original screenplay
or
'cause that-
makeup.
or any number
Think
of
about
things.
those horse people.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, very much watching Vice, like what I thought of was Sorry to Bother You.
Yeah.
And again, both very sort of scathing indictments of different aspects of 20th and 21st century, late 20th, early 21st century America.
Right, much like Vicky and me and you when we left Sorry to Bother You. Vicky and I drove home from Vice, and it was just a grim drive.
Oh yeah,
for
that
Lucid,
movie,
you
like
know,
that
it
movie. You
was-
just look at that, and particularly the small number of people that, based on things they started doing 50 plus years ago,
undemocratically.
yeah, have led us to where we are now.
Yeah.
Like you just see that through line. It's just like, ugh.
And this weekend we were watching The Other Guys.
Oh, that's the Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg cop funny movie?
Made by McKay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
As
I've
well.
heard good things about that.
And it ends with a scathing critique of the economic collapse and the way in which banks got bailed out.
Okay.
Which to me is like...
Isn't that what The Big Short is about, or
yeah,
am I wrong on
yeah,
that?
and so
Okay.
you see McKay kind of working his way.
Yeah.
Well, he's not... The Big Short's less about the bailout and more about what caused the deed for
Okay, but still kind of the same, moving in
the
that
economic
direction. Okay.
crisis, yeah. And so I've discovered, like, I just like stuff McKay makes.
Yeah.
At this point.
I gotta say, Vice, like, I was expecting a much more straightforward, like, historical movie.
Yeah.
But the way in which again, another one that I thought, I don't remember if that was nominated for either of the screenplay categories. But it was nominated for Best Original Screenplay, so.
Yeah.
Again, and Green Book won Best Original Screenplay. Like, I would have given that to Vice, because that screenplay, like the way that film is put together,
It's really smart.
is really
I will
clever.
acknowledge
Yeah.
that unlike Frost Nixon, which is a more straight historical piece,
Yes.
this is much more thoughtful about
Well,
the way
Frost
in which
Nixon
history
is going
works
for
or
more of a
doesn't work.
period piece effect.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this is going for something very different.
Agreed.
But yeah, I was really, because I never got around to seeing Vice and never really felt like compelled to go see it. And then finally,
But it was-
Cinemark had their Oscar movies, but I was blown away by Vice.
Definitively worth
In terms
seeing.
of it was a surprise, and even and Bale's performance as Dick Cheney,
Yeah.
Carell as Rumsfeld, and just like you knew.
You never mentioned Amy Adams, but I think she was great too.
She didn't. I mean, again, she didn't have as much
Well,
to
one
do.
of us likes Amy Adams more than the other,
Yes,
so
that's true. But also from the very beginning, when you have Cheney and Rumsfeld,
yeah.
and I'm like, well, that's clearly a relationship that is going to be betrayed at some point. Like it's inevitable.
But Steve Carell's handling of it.
Oh, yeah.
When he's on the phone in that little office, and
Carell
he's
was-
like, "It's exactly what I would have done."
Oh yeah,
It's just so good.
yeah.
It's
The
so
Carell,
good.
yeah, Carell. I mean, like, and the way in which that Carell and Bale sort of disappeared into their parts.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job.
So, the New York Times described it in some respects as a monster movie.
Vice.
Yeah.
I
Your
could see
take?
that.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting way to think.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Think about
it's
it.
definitely a horror film when you realize, again, the small number
kind
of
of film?
people.
A horror film?
horror. I had 2 syllables there.
I wasn't sure if you were talking about Kraft or Cheney.
Oh, sorry, Bob Kraft. Sorry, it took me a second there. That was a callback to earlier in the episode.
Callback to
Thank you. I like to,
that
I like to
noble joke
tie
from
things
before.
back together, like
Yes.
tuck it in.
I'd like to think about that is a horror film for Bob Kraft as well.
It works on both levels,
It does.
is what you're saying.
Works in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
A lot of But, yeah, no, you were saying something about Vice. Oh, Monsters,
The
yes.
monster movie,
Yeah,
yep.
oh, yeah. Except it's one where the monster ultimately wins as opposed to being, burned in a windmill.
Yeah. Depressing.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
But what
again,
makes it-
much like Sorry to Bother You. Like, Vice is a bleak, bleak movie.
Which makes the
And
review from
brilliantly bleak.
the Chicago Reader even more bleak, because what she writes, Leah Pickett writes in the Chicago Reader, is you cannot simply sit and absorb this movie. Love it or hate it, you are one of its characters. It's like you're watching Frankenstein, but you're one of the villagers.
Yeah. Well, in a way,
And
that's...
you never get Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think in a way that's kind of the role of the narrator, who
Right.
up until very late in the film you kind of have no idea who he is. And in the same way that he gets steamrolled by a car, and then the line about how,
Yeah.
what does he say, that Cheney likes to refer to his heart as his new heart, not,
Yeah.
which he's like, makes him feel a little bit
Diminished.
diminished. Yeah, I'm like, we're all kind of that guy that just got hit by a van. That is what this movie reveals.
But even before that reveal, like, I felt part of the movie from the beginning.
oh, yeah. No, it's, well,
Like,
it's,
having lived through
oh, it's
it.
the world we've grown up in.
Yeah. Ugh.
Like just step by step, you kind of just look at, because we would like to think of many of us would like to think of where we are now politically
Yeah.
as an aberration.
Right.
And this movie shows that it has been what we have been moving to basically since 1962.
What we have been moved
Moved to, yeah.
Yeah.
That this
I
has
would
been
change only that, but
a
yeah.
calculated, and again, yeah, Adam McKay. I mean, I
And
don't.
it's a selfishly calculated,
Oh yeah,
right? It's not about what's best for
no,
Americans
no,
as a whole.
no. That's what they tell themselves.
Right.
Because that's what the little monologue at the end when Cheney Bale sort of breaks the fourth wall, and sort of is very much like the what is it, the Jessup from A Few Good Men, the you need me on that wall,
Yeah.
sort of gives that line. Like that's what Cheney tells himself.
Yeah.
But you just look at it, and yeah, it's just all greed and wanting power.
Yeah. Yeah. Power for power's sake, it turns out.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best.
Well, there's that great line when he and Lynn Cheney are at the party, and he says something about no one's ever really demonstrated the true power of the American presidency, and that's what they're about to do.
Yeah. God help us.
Yeah.
The Wall Street Journal called it a gleefully scattershot style. I just like scattershot.
Yeah.
In that.
I would agree, but
Given the time he shot the guy in the face.
And again, yeah. Well, and that was a great moment too in the film where they actually show the tape of the guy apologizing, which I still can't believe.
It's spectacular.
It's one of the things I find really interesting because I had watched Bohemian Rhapsody right before that,
Yeah.
and I mean, I Bohemian Rhapsody was fine,
Yeah.
but I would say it felt kind of scattershot to me in a not so good way. Whereas Vice, yes, it was scattershot, but in a way that felt purposeful and controlled.
Right. Exactly. The purposeful is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because as we kind of transition to Bohemian Rhapsody,
Yeah, you subtly picked up on that.
I agree with you. Because Vicky really liked it. I would say I liked it.
Yeah.
But to me, it felt like that it won awards moving into the Oscars surprised me.
Yeah.
Because to me, it felt like a fairly standard, by the numbers.
It
kind
did.
of
I mean,
rock
I think
biography.
it is. I think
movie.
what elevates it is Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury.
Agreed. He's quite good.
Like I think he really sort of pulls that film, and his performance pulls that film up higher than it probably would be
And the
otherwise.
music is I mean, it's Queen, right?
Yeah,
So you can't complain.
The music
about
is
that.
great. I mean, the one issue I think the main issue I have with the film is
Yeah.
that it felt like it was put together based on kind of the touchstone moments that they had to hit.
Yeah.
And so there were a lot of things that just felt like they didn't come to like
Freddie's relationship with the driver. at the
yeah,
end.
like that just felt really
on
well.
the day of Live Aid. He drives to the guy's house,
Yeah.
makes up with him after years of being apart from him.
Yeah.
Drives to his parents' house, has time to sit and watch Live Aid start on television
Yeah.
while he talks about it with his parents, so his parents can have their kind of moment of coming
Yes.
to grips with and expressing pride in what he's accomplished.
Yeah.
And then have time to drive to Live Aid just in time to get on stage.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Well,
Because-
there's that, but also, well, one of
Yeah.
my concerns, like in watching the film, I haven't really gone. I'm a little bit concerned about its depiction of Mercury's sexuality, particularly when he embraces his homosexuality, is also when he sort of becomes the most decadent.
Right.
And except for the little bit with the main relationship at the end, which you get the tagline during the credits that said, they had a loving relationship for, the rest of Freddie's time, but we don't get to see any of that.
Right.
That I'm not sure this film is a really positive portrayal of homosexuality.
Well, to me, it had the same problem with race. It wants to talk about immigration, ethnicity, and race,
and it
wants to talk
gestures
about
at that
sexual difference, but it doesn't do it like it does it in a really muted, kind of way.
Well,
like,
I think
sexuality and race are they're sort of there.
They are there.
If you pay close attention, you might pick up on some of it.
Yes.
But,
well, the references to him as a Paki.
right, but it goes so quickly.
It does. Well, and again, that's one of the things I was like, it felt like that was something they felt they had to put in.
Right.
But there were so many other things they felt they had to put in that was another one that didn't have the room to breathe.
Right.
Again, in a way that felt like, particularly when that would pop up here or there, I was like, oh, yeah, that's another through line of this film.
But the way in which the film has been criticized for its lack of historical accuracy, you would find like a comforting kind of critique.
Yeah. I will say one thing that I did appreciate.
Yeah. Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure like the first Queen song that I was really aware of as a Queen song was Radio Gaga.
Really?
Yes. And I was very upset watching the entire film, and they seemed to skip over Radio Gaga. But I watched it on demand, which has the full extended Live Aid scene where they perform Radio Gaga. And I was like, thank you. I got
that's
my
all you
song.
needed. Like, that's all,
like,
that's all you're looking for. Just
that almost redeemed the film for me.
Of all the Queen songs.
I freaking love Radio Gaga. I know
Really?
it's cheesy, and I just love that song.
Really? Like, of all the Queen. Like
Radio Gaga. Radio
I think we all know it. I don't think we need it sung.
That song came out at like the height of the 80s, which is sort of like, my bread and butter.
One of the things I liked about this film was that it reminded people, maybe if they watched it closely enough, of the dark underside of the shiny plastic 80s.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, we think back on the 80s in this very nostalgic, kind of MTV generation kind of way.
Yeah.
But that underneath it was sort of all of the racism and homophobia.
Yeah, again, I feel like that's something you have to dig
he
pretty
was
deep into.
subjected
The film doesn't have enough room to really dig into that
I would
as much
assume
as
that
I'd
you'd like that.
I do.
Because you love the 80s so much, you'd rather them remain plastic.
No. I have a complicated relationship with the 1980s.
I don't think you do.
I love aspects of them.
I've never heard you say a singular bad thing about the 80s.
That's because we only ever talk about, like, Aha and Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there were things about the 80s you didn't care for.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, looking back now, yes. I mean, I was a kid in the 80s. As a kid, I freaking loved the 80s. But it was all,
80s rock.
American Top 40 in my comic book collection at that time. Which,
You did the 80s right.
is very different from my life now in that I don't listen to American Top 40 anymore.
It's not on anymore, is it?
I don't know. After Casey Kasem stopped doing it and Shadow Stevens took over, I kind of lost interest.
Yeah. I'd forgotten about Shadow Stevens.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I liked Bohemian Rhapsody perfectly fine as a film.
Yeah. That's how I would describe it. Like,
I didn't. Yeah, I would probably be closer to you than Vicky in terms of. I think the other thing that really bothered me was Mike Myers. And the producer they played. There were a couple times where he slipped into like his faux Scottish fat bastard accent, and it took me out of the movie. I'm like, oh, it's Mike Myers. Yeah, great.
Yeah, not like Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder.
No,
who's so submerged in his role.
Yeah, and that reaction.
He just disappears.
He just disappears completely. But yeah,
I was showing Vicky that clip recently because she's never seen Tropic Thunder, and she was like, "Whoa."
Yeah,
That's
like you see, that's Tom Cruise. Like, no,
yeah,
it's
no,
not.
that again, Tropic Thunder, another brilliant movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
Another
like
Oscar
I don't
winner.
hate Bohemian Rhapsody. I don't know that it deserves quite all of the accolades as a great film.
I feel like it was a little over-awarded.
I think Rami Malek deserves credit as a great performance in that film. Like, I have no problem with him winning Best Actor. Though, I kind of immediately compare him being Mercury to Bale as Cheney.
Yeah.
and I would probably go with Bale's Cheney.
I'm not a huge Christian Bale fan.
Yeah, I know you're not.
But I thought he was quite good in this movie.
Yeah.
And certainly he invested himself in being
He did. Oh, and he is Dick Cheney. Like, I watched it, I was like, oh my God, he is Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
Like, that is an amazing portrayal.
So Hope was supposed to send me a little rant about the Oscars, but she's failed to do so.
Isn't it her spring break?
They're actually driving to Lancaster today to visit
Oh, that's right. They're going to visit Bobby
and Franklin and Marshall. So, but she did say that people should leave Lady Gaga alone in terms of the performance with Bradley Cooper, because there's all this stuff on the internet about how
close they were.
Clearly love each other, and so she said, "Back off, people," which I agree with.
Yeah, I didn't see the performance, but I saw like a little clip of it. I was like, wow, they seem really intimate.
I went to watch it, and I find Bradley Cooper off-putting as a singer.
Yeah.
He does the gravel kind of thing to.
Well, I mean,
cover
he's
what
not.
he
I
can't
believe. I mean,
sing.
he's not a professional singer, so I probably cut him some slack. It's not like he's trying to play the piano.
You are such a hypocrite. You are such a hypocrite.
But
only deep listeners will understand that you were referencing La La Land.
Yes, see,
and your complete hypocrisy about what makes for musical
hey,
talent.
But just like Vice foregrounds its lack of historical accuracy, I foregrounded my hypocrisy.
No, you didn't.
Yep.
No,
I did
you
because
hit
I brought it
quietly.
out.
I exposed it.
I exposed it
you
to you.
Frost Nixoned it,
Maybe I don't
and
want
then
to phrase it that way.
did. Yeah.
Hey, we should talk about the Marvel movies and how much time do we have left? This seems like we've been talking a lot.
I'd say we got like 5 minutes.
All right.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the big Marvel movies?
The big Marvel movies.
Or Marvel's big night at the Oscars.
Yeah, Marvel did quite well.
They did very well.
DC, how'd DC do?
I'm not sure DC was nominated for anything. I did see Jason Momoa's red carpet interview with Ashley Williams.
I have no idea who it is.
She's like the plus size supermodel that sort of rose to fame. I think it's Williams. Maybe I'm not right on the last name.
I don't know who was doing the question.
But there was a really awkward because Jason Momoa was there with Lisa Bonet, his wife.
Okay, time out. They're married?
Yeah.
Did everybody know this?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, since Jason Momoa has risen to fame, like a lot of people have talked about.
I had no clue.
And she's like half his size. Like she is a tiny, tiny person.
Yeah.
She is. But there was I read
kind of a big person.
Yeah. But Ashley asks Jason Momoa at some point, you've got to do a haka for me.
I saw that.
And there's like this really awkward moment where it's just like, no, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I was like watching. I'm like, this seemed really awkward. And then I was reading an article online yesterday.
Oh, good.
I did some research yesterday. I didn't just do everything this morning.
Good to know.
But yes, very excited that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won.
Yeah, you were you had real worries about it going in.
I believe the choice of Green Book kind of confirms that I was right to be worried.
Fair, but they got it right.
They did get that one right.
They got it right.
Who was it going up against? Like, who did we think they
Isle of
give
Dogs.
Isle of Dogs was the one that had me
Seemed
worried.
to be the real competitor.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then Black Panther won 3 awards.
Yep. Some of which were African Americans winning awards in categories in which African Americans had never won awards.
I really liked the I think her name's Carter, the woman that won for the costume design.
Yeah.
I really liked that because I guess her first film she did was the costume design on Malcolm X.
Yeah.
And so when I really liked kind of the one thing I liked about the Oscars was kind of the validation of Spike Lee.
Yeah. Well,
via that, when Sam Jackson got to announce the award, and just the joy that both of them sort of demonstrated with each other, like that was really fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and the costume designer's acceptance speech was terrific. It was like where she said Marvel created the first black hero,
but we made him an African king.
I thought it was like just really good.
Yeah.
Like, really well said. Anything else on your list of things to talk about? That Bao won the animated short film?
Is that the one with the dumpling kid?
Yeah. I'm still not a fan of that one.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I think we talked about this before. I did read an article.
Yeah. This morning or yesterday?
No. This was when that movie came out.
At least a week.
So a while ago. But they were basically arguing that. And I think there's some validity to this, that the negative reactions that people are having to that film
I think we had this conversation.
are largely based on a Western understanding of the mother-child relationship.
Right.
I think the article was something about that this movie wasn't made for us.
That's fine.
That it was made for someone else.
That's fine.
So.
Unfortunately, they showed it to me.
Well, yeah.
And so I'm still allowed to have an opinion, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if
No.
you want to be sort of an imperialist Western imposing your frame of reference on the film, that's
I'm
totally
not
fine.
really imposing my frame of reference for anybody but myself.
Except
seems to
you
be-
just
Yeah,
expressed it
listeners.
on a podcast. So
Well, yeah, just for myself.
is that who we do this show for ourselves? Oh yeah, that is. I think it's show for ourselves.
hope
Yes, you're right.
so.
Sorry.
I really
yeah,
hope
never mind.
so.
Point conceded.
Thank you, thank you. It's been a very generous show in conceding points
It
back
has
and
been.
forth today.
It is.
Although last I checked, we're north of 3,200 downloads.
We are.
Yeah,
And
so
we're closing in our 100th episode. This is like our 85th podcast.
I'm sure that Rich is currently planning a big 100th party
I'm sure someone is.
with vegan, gluten-free cakes and.
Oh yeah, there should
Snacks.
be. If there is not a cake, the morning we tape our 100th episode,
Right.
I
Not
think
just
the
a
podcast
cake.
is done.
There should be people.
Yes.
In a party.
Yes.
Like probably there should be celebrities.
Besides us, you mean?
Right. I mean guest celebrities.
Yes.
Chris Evans
That'd be nice.
would be a reasonable get.
I'd settle for pretty much anyone in the MCU.
I can maybe get Amy Adams.
I'd
be
take
fine.
Amy Adams. That'd be great. We'd have a lot to talk about.
We could play her some old podcasts.
Maybe we'll just talk about the future. If Amy Adams ever comes on the show.
Yeah.
I'm kind of looking through.
Yeah. Well, I
to
think
see-
I think the other big news from the Oscar was Glenn Close not winning Best Actress.
Yeah.
Which I kind of, because one of the things you kept hearing like all award season for a lot of these categories was that there was no clear front runner in any of these categories. And so a lot of people, I think a lot of people felt, well, if there's no clear front runner for Best Actress, why would you not give it to Glenn Close?
So how do you feel about sort of career Oscars?
I'm kind of mixed on them.
The movie that you got the Oscar for doesn't
It's
really
not-
deserve maybe it.
Yeah,
but
like
you've
that's-
been cheated before, or you've
Yeah.
got this great body of work that's never been.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was because I
Awarded?
saw an interview on the red carpet where they were talking with I think a reporter from E! or something about that and about Best Actress, and they basically like, yeah, it's Glenn Close's time.
Yeah.
Like she's been doing this long enough, and she's got such a great career, and to not have won is a real crime, and it would be ironic if she won for The Wife because that's a movie about a female writer not getting the credit she deserves.
Yeah.
And that was really the only mention of the actual film that she was nominated for.
Right.
Um,
Which was not my favorite Glenn Close film, probably.
I didn't see it, but also I think a lot of people were surprised that Coleman won just because you had both her and I think Rachel Weisz for The Favorite
Yeah.
in that category, and everyone I think kind of assumed that they would split.
Yeah.
Um,
Handicap in the Oscars.
yeah, so it's always tricky. It's always tricky. I probably would have not done well on the predicting the Oscars.
I definitely would have missed Best Picture.
I mean, I would have gotten Best Song because it was so obvious that was going to be
There's
shallow.
no
I'm
doubt
like, why
about
are we
that, yeah.
even bothering with anything else?
It's a beautiful song.
It is. It's yeah. Oh no, I was like, yeah. I mean, I would have
have any
liked it to have gone to Black
Complaints with
Panther.
it. I mean, maybe Bradley Cooper's delivery of it could use some.
Yeah. I probably would have gotten Regina King for Best Supporting Actress
So I've got a question for
because
you.
that was, I mean, she was the front runner for that category.
Should we do the Oscar trilogy again next year?
Ooh.
What do you think, Rich? Like, which is better?
Maybe we should
Just
see.
a quick 50-minute recap, or like 3.5 hours of really getting in the weeds.
Probably shorter next
Yeah, I
year.
agree.
Yeah, less is more
Yeah, for sure.
with us.
As we learned
Even
with
less than 50 minutes, though.
the game Chateau.
Yes, that was more is less.
Yeah, that
A
was,
lot less.
Yeah.
Lot less.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, it was still fun.
What do you mean we're short, Rich? I've got us at 50 minutes, and I started late.
No. I meant the next time the Oscars should be even shorter.
Oh, do it shorter.
Yes. Well, like the Oscars, we maintain strict control over the length of this show.
That's right.
Like we don't. This is not a flabby episode.
No, the Oscars. You know what they need is some even more mashed up professionalism.
Oh yeah.
Like if they could just season in a little bit, because we don't lose any of the funny
No.
with the professional.
To lose it implies you had it at some point.
Fair point. So we don't lose it, and yet we're still very efficient.
Yep.
I mean, Rich always has that look of just contentment as we wrap a show.
Content or
Oh,
contempt.
very,
One of the
very.
two.
I think you mean very skillfully and succinctly wrap a show up.
Oh yeah, like our ability to tie the
Put a bow on it.
tie the package back together.
That's right. That's what we do.
Tie the package is another Bob Kraft.
Do you tie
reference.
it back together?
Sure, you tie it
Or-
back together because you open it, then you tie it back together.
No, nobody does that. You tie it and then you open it.
Well, if you're going to be gifted, you do.
I don't regift.
I bet somebody does though.
Yeah, clearly you if you're tying the package back together.
No, I'm tying just the metaphoric package back
Mm-hmm.
together. Would I give this podcast to anybody as a gift?
You really want to use the phrase metaphoric package?
Again, the Bob Kraft thing.
It does
I
kind
get
of
it. Yeah, we've been.
Okay, it's over.
We've been working
Wait,
that.
you can't just say it's over. Like that's a terrible ending. Let's move to an ending, Patrick.
Yes.